All right. So we put up a blog post a few weeks ago talking about Electron security, and we got some really positive feedback from the market about how educational it was. But before I get right into that, what I'm going to talk about is kind of where OpenFin is at. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chuck Doerr. I'm President and CEO of OpenFin. And hopefully you know by now that OpenFin is a web-based operating system that runs on your desktop, right? Our mission at OpenFin is to become default software across all of the desktops in the financial markets. For websites, we have IE and Chrome, right? For apps, we have OpenFin. So I'm going to just give a quick shout out to our customers. We've got a lot of customers in the room. We've been on a journey here, but we've made a lot of progress in the last year. We have over 1,000 apps being deployed with OpenFin on over 1,500 different institutional desktops, like different firms, right? And that's across 60 countries, right? And that's 200,000 desktops. So we've made incredible progress. There's still more work to do, but we're excited about where we're at. So we're going to talk about Electron security tonight. And what are the risks of Electron? What does OpenFin do to mitigate those risks, right? And you really, if you're using Electron, what should you be doing to make sure that you're delivering secure and performant software? So let's start with the risks, right? So beginning of the year, we had a big Electron security issue that came up with their protocol handler implementation. The effect of this was that you could send someone a link via email, via chat, right? And if they had used the Electron protocol handlers, that protocol handler could execute arbitrary code on that end user's machine. So that's rm star, right? rm-r star. And very, very dangerous. Hold on a second. Very, very dangerous stuff. But so Electron responded quickly. They patched the security vulnerability, but people like Skype and Slack, they had to upgrade their Electron container, right, and redeploy their applications. And that's a big challenge. But we don't have to go and look at big exploits in the news to find out what the security challenges are with Electron. Electron talks about them on their website, right? They have a big disclaimer that says, be aware, displaying arbitrary content in your, from untrusted sources is a severe security risk in Electron, right? This is not a web browser. They explicitly say this is not a web browser, right? And so they give you detailed steps. These are the things that you should be doing to secure your application. So this is pretty small. I don't know if you can read it. There's 14 points, a checklist. This is pulled straight off of their website, right? We don't have time to go into all this stuff. We're going to start with just the top two. The first one, only load secure content. The second one, disable node in your renderers, right? So only load secure content. Pretty easy, right? Don't load that one. The top one, right? Probably not a good one. Second one, ft.com, right? Loaded over HTTPS, probably pretty good, right? But what if they're using leftpad and it got injected with some random code? Cross-site scripting makes its way into your server side in a number of different ways. And in the current world that we live in, right, it's very easy to get packages in that haven't gone through the full vetting process. We're excited to have the NPM guys here to maybe talk about how they can help with that one. But again, pretty easy here. The second one, right, disabling node integration in the renderer process, right? So easy, node integration false, right? Are we done? Is that all we needed to do, right? When Node runs in Electron, it has full access to the file system, right? But Node is a critical component of the Electron architecture. And so there have been exploits where code eventually is able to turn that back on. And because there aren't layers of security built around that Node implementation, now you're running downloaded code that has full access to the system. So this one came up last year, right, where we had code that could just be run, enable some cross-site scripting magic, right, and start executing arbitrary node packages, right? Notice the date here, May 14th. The code was posted the 10th of May, right? So we had a nice little window there where we had an exploit published, not yet really sort of picked up by the news. And again, the Electron team, very responsive, provided a fix, right? But everyone had to go download the new container, repackage their applications, and deploy them, right? Now, because of that architecture, Node is kind of sitting right there. There isn't this defense in depth, the layers of security that you typically get in a browser, protecting you from your developers, protecting you from malicious sources, right? So, kind of a big one. So, developers, that's kind of where it comes down to in the Electron world, right? The security for your Electron applications is in the hands of well-meaning, smiling, happy developers, right? And they are following those 14 recommendations. They're probably thinking of additional ones. Are they doing it perfectly? Probably not perfectly, right? So you need to build infrastructure around validating for all the applications that you're building and all the applications that your firm is taking in, right? You need to build infrastructure around validating that all the best practices are actually being followed, right? Still a challenge. And, you know, if you're using an Electron application today, it's good to keep in mind that Microsoft actually did this study. This is Patrick Kettner from Microsoft. He spoke at the FinJS last year, and he talked about sort of Microsoft's world and how it relates to Electron. And so they did a survey of all the top 100 Electron apps, and 50% of them, right, had multiple critical vulnerabilities. This is, you know, full exploit of the desktop in half of the applications that were based on Electron. So some of that is, you know, not keeping the apps up to date. Some of that is persistent architecture challenges. But, you know, it is a big, big problem. So you're sitting here thinking, oh, crap, OpenFin uses Electron, and I use OpenFin. This is a big problem. But don't worry, we've invested a huge amount of effort into securing that environment. We are truly a Chromium-first environment, right? We bring back the Chromium security model. So you can't arbitrarily execute code in the browser process from your renderer process. We've reinstated that security model. We've removed Node completely from the renderer, right? So there is no possibility of spinning up Node in the renderer process where untrusted content is being run, right? And we also we completely close out the Electron API so that all the exploits that exist for the Electron API aren't leaking into your code base, right? We also have a big team that is experienced. These aren't the engineers that are working on all of what OpenFin does, right? These are the engineers that are just working on Chromium, Electron, and the OpenFin runtime, right? But you know, there's a lot more reasons to use OpenFin than just security, right? We've got a whole host of features, enterprise support, snap and dock, layouts, right? The interop bus, all that FTC3 interoperability, right? Tons of reasons to use OpenFin beyond what you get out of the box with Electron. And lastly, you know, I don't want to make this sort of talk sound like it's an Electron bashing session. We're huge participants in the Electron world, right? We use the project very aggressively, and we go to all the architecture meetings that they host, and you know, we push some of our code into Electron to help that project along, and they've really saved us a lot of time and energy in interacting with the Chromium code base, because the Chromium code base is huge and complicated. For a while, we were using it directly. Electron's help is great. So we really appreciate all of the help that we get out of the Electron world, but it does come with its caveats, right? And really, you know, this is kind of what we're talking about here with OpenFin. we like to have this sort of security by default environment where you don't have to trust the developers. That said, if you are going down that path with Electron, they have a roadmap for you to follow, and we just want people to be aware of it. Thank you for your time.